Not the Footy Show.
Clearing, Hunt, Bomb, the Fox is on the run, here comes Adoka! It's one of the great rugby league tries! Josh Adoka! Wow! The fastest man on the planet! This is your moment, Kiwis. Get out of your lounge chair now. Hughes with it. Osama Salamona. Bowls over Munster. Hughes kicks. Looking for Hicko. The Fox. Hicko!
He's in touch.
It's all wrong. He's left. Don't worry about what happened
And
after
then
that.
touches the
He's
ball.
left from outside. It's been an amazing test match. And Australia have beaten New Zealand. And the Kiwis could not have given any more.
What a performance, Vossi. The big players stood up in the end when needed from Australia. Ball performance from both sets of players. Every player gave it their all, but Australia come off the best. They come off going to the World Cup final next weekend.
McAlorum. Now it's with Williams. Williams with the ball. Off he goes. Farmer on his outside. Farmer puts the foot down. Puts the foot down and chases. And Tommy Makinson is pointing it towards the sticks. Forward scores a try. Makinson has a kick to bring it level. Silence descends inside the stadium. Makinson strikes it. Slowing it down, have a look for Milford. Milford again is in position, but they're also going to go back to Crichton. Crichton's got time to try and win it for Samoa, and Stephen Crichton is a history maker. Samoa into the final of the Rugby League World Cup. What a moment for Rugby League, what a moment for that nation, and in amongst it, what a moment for Stephen Crichton. English hearts are broken.
Not the Footy Show.
G'day everyone, welcome to episode Jimmy. Good, I'm out of practice already. G'day everyone, welcome to episode 273 of Not the Footy Show. We've had a week off. I've got a few heartstring injuries, but I'm back again. I'm Warrick Nicolson, that's Robb Cox, and we have two teams left in the World Cup of 2021/2022. I still can't get used to that, Cox Smith. What year are we actually playing this tournament in?
22.
Okay.
But they should have played it in 21. It's a numbers thing, mate. You know, it's the jerseys, it's the year, it's everything.
I wanted to open with that reference. If they'd gone last year, what kind of tournament would we have had? Because I would imagine there would have been a lot of players that wouldn't have got on the plane, even if the different countries had agreed to go.
You could be right, mate. I mean, COVID feels like 5 years ago now, thankfully.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we've got a new wave.
I know,
just
man.
to keep us up on our toes. Dance, children. Yeah, I'm not too sure, mate. I think it's. I'm glad they did put it off. You know, because they may not have been able to have full crowds. I don't know what the protocols were over there at the time, but
we haven't
thankfully
got full crowds.
Well,
Yeah,
no, because
I think the second semi-final was the big one.
Didn't they decide to change prices at the 11th hour?
At
or
11th
something like
hour,
that?
yeah. Classic. We'll make them pay at the nose in the month leading into, and then no one's coming. We'll put the prices down. It's insane. Anyway, but yeah,
silly.
I would have been interesting to see whether, you know, because there's also the question of the whole vaccination status, Foxman. That would have been much more in play at the end of last year with players than it is for this tournament. So just wanted to consider that if they'd pushed to have that tournament happen in 2021, whether we would have seen the myriad of players that turned out in this tournament. And we've seen semi-finals played. We saw the quarters played since our last pod. There was no surprises in the quarterfinals. What happened happened. Daly Cherry Evans ended up missing out on the semi-final team. Mal made the call in the end, Cocksmith. And I've got to say, looking at the Australia 16, New Zealand 14 result in a pretty good semi-final, it wasn't an all-time game like Fox Sports Voss went on about. I'm telling you, there's a difference between BBC Voss and Fox Voss. No longer pushing forward for Channel 9. It was. I noticed it. I thought it was noticeable that the hype train kicked into gear once he was back on Fox. But I wanted to talk about the fact that he went with Mal Meninga with Nathan Cleary in this game, and he was average. Cocksmith. His kicking game in particular was really poor, and as a whole, I thought the Australian attack, with multiple opportunities in that second half, well and truly left the door open for New Zealand. And I'm not calling for Cleary to miss out. I'm just saying that we were ordinary in that semi-final, yet we got the job done.
Yeah, we got the job done. I think New Zealand, their forwards dominated us. I don't think that we ever really got over the top of them. We did in moments, but through the whole 80 minutes, I think New Zealand wins the forwards battle.
Yep.
And it's particularly hard for a halfback to get his team dominated and then to play or get on the front foot when you're going backwards a fair bit. Now, look, there were moments in that game where Australia started to roll a little bit, particularly in the second half. The first half we got owned.
Yep.
I actually thought this could be anything. I think that at one stage I thought the Kiwis could have won by 10.
Okay.
The way it was going. But look, at the same time, I don't think Nathan Cleary was Robinson Crusoe either. I mean, he wasn't on his own, mate.
I agree.
He was ably assisted in the average department by his other halves partner, Cameron Munster. I think Cleary did more than Munster did, and I think his defence. That was a side of him that we saw. His defence is pretty good. I don't know if you watched the whole game or you watched highlights.
No, I watched the whole thing.
Okay. Did you notice in the last 5 minutes of the game, probably a minute or two before Cleary did that wonky kick, did you notice he had a head clash with Isaiah Papali'i? And I actually thought he was going to go down, and because he looked like his eyes were rolling. He's
got track record in this area, Cocksmith. A couple of years ago.
Who?
In the grand final, didn't he? Cleary got likely HIA,
I think
it was, and didn't go off because it was 15 minutes to go. Just saying.
Yeah, look, it's not something that that you wish upon a player.
No, of course
and
not.
as you know, I'm a big time Nathan Cleary fan.
I like him too.
But I've also called him out when I've thought he hasn't performed. I don't think he underperformed to the degree that he did in an Origin this year and won last year. But I think this is what you get when you've got a coach who can't name his top 17.
Nailed it.
And won't name his top 17. And you get cohesion, or you get a lack of cohesion when you don't name your top 17 and make them play together. This is what it's been with Mal from the moment that they landed in England, probably even before then, when they decided not to put people in numbered jerseys that they didn't think they would be appreciative of. So, yeah, I'm not blaming all of that. I'm saying Cleary's the one that's got to go out there, and Munster's got to go out there. But mate, Hunt wasn't great. He kicked the ball out on the full.
For your point,
he missed tackles.
He was poor. He looked like he hadn't played with his crew. Oh, Latrell.
Yeah.
Defensively,
Latrell play?
After Latrell didn't jump for the ball that he was supposed to jump for, I can't believe him and Munster both tried to block when there was no one there to catch it. That was on Latrell, that one. He then, the next chance he had, he made up for it. Defensively is where Mitchell made his mark this game, but didn't look for the ball on attack. You were saying about Hunt, though. Hunt was a great example of Mal's tinkering backfiring, because he looked lost in that setup, especially in the first stint. Came back and made a little bit more of an impact in the second half.
He did set up a great try for Addo-Carr.
That's one of the memories from the World Cup. That was spectacular. Addo-Carr continues just to thrive in a game that allows him to thrive. And what I liked about Addo-Carr is he put his hand up for the rough stuff, but the reason he didn't get picked in Origin was because he doesn't make meters out of his own end.
And he still doesn't.
He tried his best. It's just that's not his game. And Origin's a different setup to the Test football. It just is. And
yeah, but we saw at the back end of that game there was a bit of a grind on, and the Kiwis were coming at Australia a little bit for a few minutes.
Where were they kicking them? Where were they kicking? Where did they kick all night?
They were kicking
at Okada all night.
Well, because he can't bring the ball back.
Yeah, exactly.
So because he's light, he's lightweight. He in the open, there's no one like him, but he's definitely no Brian Toto coming out of his own quarter or his own 20 meters. So, yeah, I think Nathan Cleary's got a little bit of work to do, but I also think that those around him have got a little bit of work to do as well. I think Samoa will be a different beast, but we'll get to them in a minute. But we won and we got dominated in the forwards. And
that's
we won.
it. 16-14 was the final score, but I want to go back to that Scotland game, mate. How good did we look in that game with our first choice spine? Now, it was Scotland, but we looked schmick. And then he messed around the next match. Then he messed around for the quarterfinal. And then we get to the semi-final. And the story of this match for me, it's not even Cleary's kicking game, which I thought was really poor. And the short kicking game, those little dinky kicks, they just weren't effective. There was one right at the end that was just deplorable.
That was just before he got buzzed.
Yeah,
I think he was feeling the effects of some concussion then.
But we had opportunities in that second half to put the foot in the throat, and we didn't take it. But the story of this game, it's not Cleary, it's not Mal Meninga's selections, it's not even Latrell Mitchell not really being that involved in attack. But to be fair, I think Jack Whiten got the ball once in attacking a situation, set a try up, and then didn't see it again. We didn't use our edges at all well. And but the story is New Zealand, at the end of the game, had 2 or 3 chances. They had 0 legs in them. 0 legs in them. We defended really well, but if you watch the last 10 minutes of that game, what New Zealand throw at us is average. We got to the final because they weren't good enough to take the chance when they were there. And I know I talked up the New Zealand team going into the tournament. I still maintain it's probably the best group of players I've seen for the Kiwis. But those last 10 minutes, you didn't see Joseph Manu make an impact. You didn't see Dylan Brown make an impact. You didn't see Jerome Hughes make an impact. They're the games. That's what you're there for. That's the moments. And it was a 2-point game. And Peter Hiku went very close to basically breaking all our hearts. And Australia scrambled. But to me, the story is that New Zealand missed this opportunity. They really did.
Yeah, look, I agree. And some will chest beating today, saying that Cleary was average, but geez, Jerome Hughes was disappointing, and I think he's in the top 3 halfbacks in the comp, and he was very disappointing, especially when they needed him. So it wasn't a halfbacks night. It was a big forwards, and we saw the teams come together a few times with a bit of heat, which I like seeing. Even though there were lots of smiles on their faces when they did, but it was still good to see. And look, I think Angus Crichton for me is another one of these players. He's there for one reason, mate. He's there for one reason and one reason only. And he got it right in the game before with a line run.
Yeah.
But when he starts going back towards the ruck, something's up. Why are you going back towards the ruck? People whinged and complained about the left side not getting much ball because of Cleary being on the right most of the time. But a couple of times there, when it got sent left, Crichton starts running back to the right. We played
inside balls all day. I couldn't believe how much guys like Trebojevic and that got the ball on 4th tackle. It's like, what are we actually setting up for here? We've got massive weapons on the edges. And we're not using them because and that was on the Clearys and the Munsters and the guys in the middle. That was their decisions. And Teddy, who I haven't mentioned yet.
Well, Teddy's a hog, mate, and he
on his own he was okay, but he never looked likely involving the outside men at all.
But can you remember the last time Teddy passed? I think it was like under 12s for Camden Rams, mate. He doesn't pass the ball.
I think he passed it to Val Holmes once in his own end.
Right.
Liam Martin got man of the match. I didn't have any qualms with that. I thought he did make an impact. But it was a really tough decision, and I don't envy the fact that they had to make this call, a couple of minutes out from the end. But who was your man of the match in that game?
Well, look, I don't think Jack Whiten did anything wrong, and I think he was tough in defence, and Cam Murray was good too.
Yeah. Well,
when
that
he was on.
Kleenex tissue soft try that won the game for us.
Well, he's obviously just spotted the cheese having a rest and just
clocking
said,
off.
he just said, "I'll take a try here and a little meat pie here." But look, I think they got it right with Liam Martin, mate. I really don't think there were too many better than him on the field. What were your thoughts?
I just had those moments where you went, yeah, I remember him being this, I remember him being that. Yeah, and again, with no playmakers having particularly strong matches for either side. Dylan Brown had some moments early, but again, just not there at the end. And Manu just very Teddy-like. Yeah, if it's not coming through him, it's not happening. He's not setting other people up. Murray, I want to see on the left edge in the final.
I'd like to see him in Angus Crichton's spot, to be honest
Absolutely.
with you.
That's what I'm saying. He needs to be on the left edge. That's where he should have been at the start of the tournament. That's where he needs to be because they're playing him in that middle role. And to me, he's getting in the way of Yo. And that's not a criticism of Isaiah Yo or Cam Murray. It's just that it's the same thing playing prop and
they're
lock.
similar.
And it's just, I don't think we get the best of it. Put Cam Murray on the left edge, get him playing next to Latrell, and happy days. Let's move on to the next game, Cocksmith, because we will talk about the final in the next episode. It'll be on Thursday, everybody, once hopefully Mal's made his mind up on his team. Not that I'm expecting a great deal of changes, but Cocksmith's predicting something. I think he's predicting DC on the bench. Am I right?
Look, I'm still not convinced with Mal. I'm still not convinced. I never will be. I don't know if he can take the maroon glasses off, mate. I mean, he may have painted himself into a corner here, and he has to. But Mal Meninga has got a history of doing things he wants to do. Right. Now, I think it'll come down to doing whatever he wants here, and there will be a bit of public pressure. And with nuffs like Brent Reid, breathing down his ear, breathing down the phone every night, whispering sweet nothings to Mal every night before he goes to sleep.
Whispers is coming back on Thursday. All
right. You can just imagine it, can't you? Hey, that Gronk's ringing Mal every night. What's happening, Mal? It's a couple of Queenslanders colluding.
I look after
anyway.
You, Mal.
Anyway, look, I'm not sure. but I don't really want to talk about the game until we find out who the team is.
One thing I do want to see,
and he'll bracket DCU.
I want to see Tino start. I don't want to see him wasted till the 50th minute, although he did make an impact for us. He needs to start.
Yeah, he was good, but I'll guarantee it. I'll bet my on it that he will put DCE as 18th or 19th man. 100%.
Okay, the next semi-final was a great game. Now, we're running out of time on the Zoom because we ended up chatting for like 20 minutes at the start of the recording. Sorry, everybody. Samoa 27, England 26, hallmarks of a great semi-final. What you want to see at this time of the tournament. And it's what a tournament like this needs to build to. I know people have been blowing up about, it's 78-0 and 94-6. And, well, that's where you get to. In the teams that are at the top of the roost at the end of those matches, play in the games that actually have something riding on them. This one had plenty riding on it. Samoa down on troops. England coasting through the first 4 games they played, including a massive win over Samoa that apparently all Samoan players and coaching staff have declared that everybody wrote them off as against them because they lost by 60 points in the first game. Well, you lost by 60 points in the first game. It's not a long bow to draw that you might be gone.
Yeah.
Great last 10 minutes. Great match in general. Stephen Crichton with a field goal to win in Golden Point, but he also took the intercept to look like he'd won the game. Then he was MIA in defence in the try that George Williams set up to level the game.
Oh, was that? No,
he wasn't there.
Mate.
No, but he wasn't there. That's his side.
Yeah, Sewer missed the tackle, though.
I'm with you, but Crichton wasn't over there. I don't know where he was. He's not involved in the play at all. I would have thought he might have been marking up on Herbie Farnworth, the guy who actually scored the try.
Interesting. What tackle was it? I wonder if he'd just done a play like 2 plays before or something.
Something I noticed. But anyway, he comes up with the field goal, wins the game. A few things quickly. Jerome Luai, superb in this match. He's been great since that absolute stinker he did against England in the first game. But as my flatmate said to me as we passed each other the other day, he goes, fantastic player, but gee, he's unlikable. He's so hard to like. We did reference it just before we came on air. I have no issues if he wants to clap at Sam Tompkins, but don't turn around like you've been scolded like a cat after the guy taps you on the head. That's what you wanted him to do.
Yeah. See, I got a different take on it. I got a different take on it, and I think I think Luai thrives in those moments. He loves, he loves the cheekiness and the wind up, and I, like I said to you just before we started rolling, I think everything's on the table or off the table, whatever you want to say, when you're sledging someone. But the moment someone goes over the line and touches you, well, then they just got physical. So I'm backing Luai on this. I'm backing. I'm with him. And you know what? Luai is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I think if you like Penrith,
you love him,
and you don't, and then you like him, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you hate Penrith, like most Bulldogs fans do, you're flat, mate. I think that he would annoy you. He would definitely annoy you.
He just makes it hard to completely turn around on him. It's not a case of you don't respect what he can do and the ability is there, and he was the difference in this game along with Crichton. That's all good. It's just that you're not going to turn around and say, "Oh, forgive all that other stuff." You don't need to be like that, Jerome, but he loves it. Special shout out. We are running out of time. Samoa's forwards, given Marty Tapau didn't play this game, and who knows what's going on with Marty. It could be all over Red Rover very, very quickly. Paulo and Papali were good, but guys like Liggy Sow, that try scored down the short side, they've just found some things. Tim Laffey, does he have a deal for next year that he wants in the NRL? Because
I don't know, but he
looks
different. He looks fit. He looks fit.
Williame's got a 2-year deal with the Warriors. How is Tim Laffey not back in the NRL?
No idea. No idea.
English-wise, Farnworth great. Williams had some moments. Elliot Whitehead played the best game I've seen him play in 2 years. He could not have given more. Radley had a real crack. Where they made a mistake is that Wellesby guy offered him absolutely nothing at 5'8".
They're six with ordinary, mate.
That's the guy, Wellesby. Yeah. He was horrible. He was really, really bad.
He made a couple of mistakes that cost him big time. Where he come from, I don't know, but he should go back there because they would be better off. They'd be better off playing Elliot Whitehead at 5'8". Honestly, I know that's a big call. But
missed opportunity. I mean, New Zealand got outdone, but England, this is the one they needed to get into this final, and they've butchered it really in the end because they let Samoa have a couple of tries that were like, gee, that's soft, and you've invited them into the lead. And what I want to say before is about England is that great tournament, definitely made us take notice, but the absolute key for England / Great Britain, and Mal's talked about this, but it is a non-negotiable if you want England to be good again. We have to have the Ashes back every 2 years.
100%, 100%. The problem for England, mate, is that after they won 60, I think they thought all they had to do was turn up, right? And Samoa surprised them, which isn't. We know that those Pacific Island nations can sometimes clock off a little bit, and then when they do clock back on, I didn't pick that. I thought that England would have walked over them, like most people thought. But this is on England. But the worst thing is that this is not great for England because their fans are a little bit, a little bit fair weather fans. They love their soccer as well. I know it's from different part. Up in the north of England is mostly rugby league and a bit of rugby union, and down south is rugby union and soccer.
But you're back on the map if you make the final.
You make the final. Yeah, it all of a sudden your game gets more popular again. But England will recover from this, but they do need more Ashes tests, mate. Every second year, every 4 years, kangaroo tour. That's what should be happening.
If you want to talk about dedicated international windows, Abdo and co, this is it. Like, I love Pacific tests and the like, and they will happen during that time frame. But Australia needs to be getting on a plane to England when there's Pacific tests being played down here. It needs to happen. We've only got a minute left, Cocksmith. So
I know we've got a minute 49. I can see it. Did you see Freddie today said something about he now wants Origin tests, Origin eligibility. Now, this is the same guy that said to Fafita, or said about Fafita about a few years ago that he's made his decision. He's playing for Tonga. I've got nothing to say to him. How the worm turns.
Yes, indeed. We will talk about the final on Thursday. Hopefully, Mal's named his team by then. It's Samoa against Australia. It is at the worst possible time in the morning on Sunday morning Sydney time. It's at 3 a.m.
I know.
It is going to
I-
be very hard to get up for that.
I
bad
can't
weather
watch it. I've
cricket.
got to drive to Dubbo that day, so I can't watch it.
So
Unfortunately,
I imagine
I'll
we
watch a
will
highlight.
recover at some point on Sunday night potentially and have a chat about it and
We will.
reconvene about the final.
You're going to have to clock off, mate. It's 30
We will.
seconds to go.
Next Recruitment Whispers on
All right.
Thursday and more World Cup on Thursday to wrap it all up. That's episode 273. I've been Warrick, Nicolson. That's been Robb Cox. Take us out, Cox Smith.
Talk to you then, mate. Kate, take it easy. Pepsi.
Not the Footy Show. Show?
Sean, you were your own worst enemies, weren't you, tonight?
Yeah, I'm not good enough. Best team won. Gutted. Absolutely wounded.
Not the Footy Show. Show?
You've been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.